Well, I love the countryside, but once in a while it's nice to come to a city for a change. And today's city that I'm going to be touring is a particularly beautiful one. This is the city of York.
York is a historic walled city at the meeting of the rivers Ouse and Foss, and is a traditional county town of Yorkshire, to which it gives its name. The city has a rich heritage and has provided the backdrop to major political events in England throughout much of its 2 millennia of existence. York offers a wealth of historic attractions, of which York Minster is the most prominent, and a variety of cultural and sporting activities, making it a popular tourist destination for millions. The city was founded by the Romans in 71 AD. It became the capital of the Roman province of Britannia Inferior, and later of the kingdoms of Northumbria and Jorvik. In the Middle Ages, York grew as a major wool trading centre, and became the capital of the northern religious province of the Church of England, a role it has kept. In the 19th century, York became a hub of the railway network and a confectionery manufacturing centre. In recent decades, the economy of York has moved from being dominated by its confectionery and railway-related industries to one that provides services. The University of York and health services have become major employers, whilst tourism has become an important part of the local economy.
I first came to York at the tender age of 9. Now, I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember passing through here. I was with Mum and my grandparents, because at the time my family were very much into caravan holidays, and we were on our way to a particular holiday destination. And I remember coming through York, but I don't remember whether we actually stopped here or just passed through without stopping. But I can remember certain images of York. I can remember the city walls, and I can remember the river and this bridge behind me going across the river. So, although I was still very young, I do have certain memories of my mind of this city.
Crossing Lendal Bridge to the north bank of the River Ouse, I decided to take a walk through the museum gardens, where I would find the ruins of one of York's historic buildings. St Mary's Abbey was a great institution, and its story ties together 2 of the most important events in English history. It was begun by William the Conqueror to reinforce his hold on the north after 1066, and ended by Henry VIII as a consequence of his reformation of the church. In its day, it was the wealthiest abbey in the north, and one of the richest in the country. The abbey's economic power and privileges brought benefits to the city, but were also a source of conflict. Its monks provided charity, but were sometimes ridiculed for their lifestyles. When Henry did finally wind up the great institution in order to get his hands on its money, there was no public outcry at its passing. All that remains of the abbey today are the north and west walls, plus a few other remnants.
Well, after my first visit to York as a 9-year-old, I didn't return to the city for at least 30 years. I would have been in my early 40s when I came back, and it was lovely making that return visit, because those memories in my mind as a 9-year-old of the city walls and the bridge across the river all came back to me because it was exactly as I remembered it. So clearly my first visit to York must have made a big impression on me. However, when I made my return visit, I hadn't done my research very well. I drove up here on a whim for the day, and I parked my car in the first car park that I found, and it was an absolute fortune. I think it cost me £4 for 2 hours, and that was, well, that would have been at least, well, not far off 10 years ago now, so I dread to think what it would cost there now. So at the time, I didn't spend any longer than 2 hours here, because I would have spent, I dread to think how much I would have spent to park all day. However, coming back today, I've done my research, and I found a car park that's behind the railway station. And today, as it's Sunday, it's cheaper again, and it's £4 all day parking, so I think that's pretty good. So it's just as well I did my research today.
As I walked on, I came to Exhibition Square, overlooked by York Art Gallery, with a collection of paintings spanning more than 600 years. Works range from 14th century Italian panels and 17th century Dutch masterpieces to Victorian narrative paintings and 20th century works by Ellis Lowry and David Hockney. The centrepiece of the square is a statue of York artist William Etty, which was erected in 1911. The gallery holds the largest collection of Etty's work, and in 2011 held the first major exhibition of his work for 50 years, showing many of these paintings and sketches. Walking through Bootham Bar, one of the gateways in the city wall, I made my way along High Petergate in the direction of the city centre, where I headed towards York's most famous attraction. York Minster is one of the finest medieval buildings in Europe. The first Christian church on the site has been dated to 627 AD, and the first Archbishop of York was recognised by the Pope in 732. A stone Saxon church survived Viking invasion in 866, but was ransacked by William the Conqueror's forces in 1069. William appointed his own archbishop, Thomas, who by the end of the century had built a great Norman cathedral on the site. The present Gothic-style church was designed to be the greatest cathedral in the kingdom. It was built over 250 years, between 1220 and 1472. As the natural centre of the church in the north, the Minster has often played an important role in great national affairs, not least during the stormy years of the Reformation and the Civil War.
What a wonderfully impressive building the Minster is. Well, last year I spent a weekend here in York because a friend of mine had his stag do here, and there was quite a few of us that came here, and it really was the best weekend I've had in a long time. My friend couldn't have picked a nicer place to have his stag weekend. We had a day at the races, we went go-karting another day, and we just had 2 nights where we just went out, had food and beer, and it was wonderful atmosphere here. And I just thought I want to come back and spend a bit more time in York, so that's why I'm here today.
From the Minster, I passed the church of St Michael the Belfry and walked into the city centre to explore its many narrow pedestrian streets, which are a main feature of central York. Walking through King's Square, I came to the Shambles, a narrow medieval street lined with shops, boutiques and tea rooms. Most of these premises were once butcher shops, and the hooks from which carcasses were hung and the shelves on which meat was laid out can still be seen outside some of them. The street also contains the shrine of Margaret Clitheroe, although it is not located in the house where she lived.
Right, I'm now going to walk the city wall.
The centre of York is enclosed by the city's medieval walls, which are a popular walk. These defences are the most complete in England. They have the only walls set on high ramparts, and they retain all their principal gateways. They incorporate part of the walls of the Roman fortress and some Norman and medieval work, as well as 19th and 20th century renovations. The entire circuit is approximately 2.5 miles and encloses an area of 263 acres. The northeast section includes a part where walls never existed, because the Norman moat of York Castle, formed by damming the River Foss, also created a lake which acted as a city defence. This lake was later called the King's Fish Pond, as the rights to fish belonged to the Crown. Later on, I reached Clifford's Tower, one of the best-loved landmarks in York, offering dramatic views over the city. It is the largest remaining part of York Castle, once the centre of government for the north of England. In the 11th and 12th centuries, a timber tower sat on top of the earth mound, but it was burned down in 1190, after York's entire Jewish community of up to 150 people was besieged here by a mob and committed mass suicide. The present stone tower, added in the 13th century, was probably used as a treasury and later as a prison rather than a royal residence. It has been a ruin since the 17th century. Walking along the station road wall, I came to the end of the walk, as I found myself approaching Lendal Bridge, where I had started my day here in York.
Well, that's my day here in York at an end, and what a beautiful city it is. I have to say, I'm not really a city person anymore, but York is a lovely place. Certainly worth coming to today. Well, I was talking earlier about the fact that when I first came to York at the age of 9, I was passing through the city on the way to a holiday destination with my family who were into caravanning. Now, I'm going to have a drink now as normal, as I usually do when I finish a walk, but then I'm going to be staying tonight in the destination where I stayed at the age of 9. I wonder where that could be.